Hey you guys, good to see you on Grassroots Gardening. As always, we've got an absolutely gorgeous spring day. So we're getting close to mid-March. We're going to prune up some roses today. We've got quite a few of them to do. That's why I'm dressed up in this get-up. Not going hunting, but we are headed into the battlefield. So I've got my hunting shirt on, my briar shirt. We've got several different types of roses that we're going to prune up today. The first one, and the one that I am looking the most not forward to, is that right? The least forward to, there we go, is this knockout rose. And I didn't prune it last year, and it has gotten massive. So the general rule of thumb that I always preach to you guys is pruning pruning your plant by 1/3, removing a third of the plant. That's not going to be the case right here because this thing has gotten so massive. I'm going to take my DeWalt Sawzall right there, and we're going to cut this thing way back. Then we've got two climbing roses. This is a Cloud 10, and then I believe that's a Cecile Bruner right there around that air conditioner on the trellis. So we're going to prune those guys back as well. Then we got to go down there and get our Peggy Martin rose that's climbing up our shed. So without further ado, I'm going to grab my tools, get my Felco sharpened up. Let's go to work. We got this cool new Felco sharpener in at the garden center the other day. I've used it once. It did a fantastic job. If y'all saw the video when we were out pruning fruit trees, but I just hold my pruners like this, get myself a nice angle, then run it up the blade a couple of times, and she'll be cutting as good as new. I'm gonna go ahead and get my wheelbarrow ready, because we're probably gonna have to make a couple runs down to the woods, because this rose has gotten absolutely ginormous. And of course I forgot to get some of the mud rose gloves that we got in down at the garden center. So I'm just using my old mechanics gloves, but I will put a link in the description below for those mud rose gloves, because then you wouldn't have to wear this big old heavy shirt and these big old hot gloves. Those mud gloves will protect your forearms and everything. They're really a nice product. I'm glad we got them down at Grassroots. But I'm going to jump in here, and we're going to take this dude down by at least a half, because I've let him go a little bit too long, and he needs some serious pruning. I want to make sure we get all the dead stuff out. Anything diseased, dead, or dying, make sure we get that out. And then anything like this new stem that's growing up through the middle of the plant, we're going to go ahead and get him out of here to kind of let the wind and the air flow through the middle. That'll help us a lot on disease, and just kind of open up the center of the plant so sunlight can make it down and give us a nicer shaped rose bush. And look at the thorns on this dude right here. That's why I'm wearing all the get up that I am, even though it's hot. Those things right there will shred you to pieces. So I'll be using my DeWalt in conjunction with my Felcos, just depending on the size, the diameter of the limb. And if you do nothing else to your roses, make sure that you prune them. Now all the ones that we're going to be pruning today bloom on new wood. So we're not going to harm ourselves. We're still going to get flowers. And again, we're in super early spring. I would have liked to have done this about 2 weeks ago, but just haven't had the time. But if you do nothing else, make sure you prune your roses, because they flower a lot more profusely, and they just really need at least one pruning a year. So if you can kind of set your calendar early spring, just right before the buds start to open up, the leaf buds, that is, right before the leaves come, go ahead. And the general rule of thumb again is to prune it by 1/3, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. like with this big girl right here. She is just, and I'll go ahead and admit, I planted this in the exact wrong location. It's way too close to the house. It's only 2 feet away from my home. This rose gets way too big to be planted right up next to the house, but I planted it probably 12 years ago, back before I knew any better, and well, it just kind of is what it is right now. But definitely do not plant a big knockout rose this close to your house. It's just not fun dealing with it, getting up in here. This thing is just mean. And this one's going back up towards the inside of the plant, so we're going to get rid of him too. You don't have to be gentle, because she is not going to be gentle to you. Man, the thorns. I did not wear the right pants today either. I was trying to be as cool as possible because it's a little warm. So I wore these thin pants, but then I went through my pants a couple of times and poked me already. Hey y'all, we're just gonna go ahead and prune this dude super hard. And to be honest with you, I kind of hope it kills it because it's just in the wrong spot, and it's probably going on about 15 years old. So if it dies, that'll be just fine with me. But knowing, you know, in plants, anytime you want something that's planted in the wrong spot to die, it'll just be more proliferous and do better than ever, more than likely. We'll have to watch it and see. Man, that was a big one. Battery's about dead. They're all grown up in here and intertwined. There's a big chunk of it. That'll help. We'll go ahead and drag this one down to the woods, y'all. She's coming along, folks. But I wanted to show you guys this over here. This is pretty funny. I believe my buddy Luis trying to help our rose bush out, and he's got a cord tied to the rose bush that runs up here to the window unit that goes into the garage. Don't get a whole lot more redneck than that. Or maybe I should say it like, don't get a whole lot more redneck than that right there. Got my rose bush tied up to my window unit. I think I did go get some water. I think it got too hot. Oh goodness, this sure as hell ain't the Garden Answer channel, is it, folks? Oh well, what you gonna do? Battery's for real dead this time. Go get another. Back in business. Sorry, Luis. Get A for effort, but we can't have our plants tied to window units. Oh man. Look at the size of this thing here, y'all. We'll go ahead and take it down to the woods. Well, that's certainly a drastic difference, ain't it, y'all? We'll get all this raked up here. And again, this is not how you want to prune your roses. But like I said, I don't care if the thing just goes ahead and croaks, because we just have it way too close to the house. We'll watch it. It's more than likely going to double in size and do better than ever now that I don't care about it. And just in case you were wondering about this big black cable that's ran to my power box over there. That's so if we do lose power, I can bring one of our big welder generators down and I can power the whole house. If we have an ice storm like we did about 10 years ago, we didn't have power for about a week. So that's when I had my guys come in and rewire the panel so that we could have a generator in case that ever happens again. Weed season is upon us, y'all. And I'm not gonna put down any chemical. I'm just gonna pull these up with my hand and then bring some mulch down later. Mulch it real thick. Maybe plant some different plants in this area now that we have a little bit more space. But yeah, we're just gonna dig them up by hand for now. And then we'll just bring in a nice thick layer of mulch a little later on. That looks way more better, don't it, y'all? Let's see if she survives. That's a pretty severe pruning, and like I said, she's old. And if it doesn't make it, we'll rip it up, replace it with something evergreen to cover up this ugly electric panel and that window unit. But let's move on over here now to our next rose. This is our Cloud 10 rose, which I just somewhere, I did it like 2 seconds ago. I hung a metal tag. Oh, here it is. Okay, kind of fell back behind here. Yeah, I went ahead and put the metal tag on it because my lizard scared the crap out of me. Because the plastic one was dry rotting a little bit. So before you lose your tags, if you're anything like me, you got a lot of plants, you can't remember them, get these little metal tags off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. They work great and last for a super long time. This one doesn't need a whole lot of pruning. It's pretty level up here on the top, but I'm just going to come in and remove some because we want to encourage that new wood and that new blooming wood. I'll come down here and go ahead and get rid of some of this older dead wood. You can hear it cracking, so I know it's dead. It's not alive anymore. It'll clean it up a little bit. So not a lot of work to do on this guy, but we move to the next one, the Cecile Bruner down there. That's going to be some work. Let's get rid of this little spindly stuff that's coming out of the very bottom of the rose. Get it cleaned up a little bit, and as always, this will just help with airflow and disease and insects. Sometimes you have to cut it in multiple spots just to get it out of there. Oh, most of this down here is dead anyway. So we'll go ahead, get it on out of there, make it easier to keep a nice bed of mulch down here. And also, y'all know I'm petrified of snakes, so this will help me to see the ground a lot better too. We'll get rid of some of this lower interior growth. Sometimes I'll just chop up the stems and let them go back to the ground. This little stuff like this, plus these things are really thorny and my gloves are not meant for this. So you always can just prune or take and cut the cuttings up into little bitty pieces and let them go back down and feed the rose and give back their nutrients if you don't want to haul them to the woods or you don't want to compost them. I don't compost the roses down in my compost bin just because I do have to get in there and reduce the size of them, and these things will rip you to shreds. See, like that one, I can't even hardly get my fingers in there without getting shredded. I'm just gonna prune them into little pieces until they fall out. All right, this is where we got to make some decisions. You see this guy, he's just kind of going off the trellis out into the wild blue yonder. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of him and just keep everybody that's already attached to the trellis. That's the only one, that's the only canes that I'm gonna leave. And then I'm just gonna come in and prune those up just to encourage some new growth. This is a real pretty white blooming rose, and it is a climber. And again, this one's called Cloud 10. I got a couple dead leaves, dead limbs up here. We're just going to kind of selectively prune it, just give him a nice little haircut to encourage that new growth and more flowers. And this will kind of keep him under control too. Last year he grew over and into the air conditioner, so this will kind of stop that temporarily. We'll probably have to come back in still later this summer and do this again, just because he will be going into the air conditioner at that time, more than likely. So we're just really thinning out, and if any are actually growing towards the air conditioner right now, I'll go ahead and remove those, like this guy. That's the other thing to do with pruning too. You know, we're pruning this guy to make him more prolific and to get more blooms, but if you have situations like over there where we were by that power unit, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So you can watch all the videos you want, and everybody will give you a different opinion of why and how, but you can just kind of use your judgment and whatever your situation dictates as far as your pruning technique. See, like this guy's actually coming into this gardenia right here, and the gardenia is going up against the air conditioner. So while we're right here, I'll go ahead and come in and clean him up a little bit too, so we don't have to come back and do it later, and we already got our Felcos in our hands, so why not? Love the way gardenias smell. They're a summer bloomer. Can be a little problematic with white flies, because white flies do love to get on them. I didn't have that big of a problem last year, and if we can keep him thinned out and keep that airflow going through here, I think it'll help us out, and maybe we won't have any more or as bad of a pest problem as I have had in the past with gardenias. But just kind of open this middle up a little bit. I'm not going to get sidetracked and prune this whole thing, because he really does need to be opened up a little bit more. But we're just doing roses today, so don't get sidetracked, Ryan. Maybe we'll come in, get that guy since he's growing towards the air conditioner, and just a nice little haircut, and that looks a lot better, a lot more controlled, and that should invigorate this guy to branch out, give us a little bit more branching, which is going to equal more flowers, hopefully. Man, see, we got this stupid gardenia trying to get in here with our rose. Get out of there. Okay, let's move on down here to this Cecile Bruner. She, yeah, she's gonna be a little bit more work, but I'd like to make her look just like that guy down there, nice and as tight to this trellis as we can. Some of these roses are a little more aggressive than others, and this Cecile Bruner, as well as that Peggy Martin down there, she's really hard to keep under control. She just wants to grow, super fast grower, and this Cecile Bruner is turning out to be equally as an aggressive climbing rose. But they're beautiful, and it does do a good job of screening this air conditioner. But we're gonna have to do some work on him. I'm gonna put y'all down and get to hacking. What y'all reckon about that? I like it. I feel like the plant can breathe a whole lot better now. I got on the inside there and on the inside of the trellis where it was trying to reach for the air conditioner. Well, that should really spur this thing on, encourage a lot of new growth, and hopefully it'll be covered with blooms. We'll have to come back and take a look at it in a few weeks. But moving on down the road to another rose that I've kind of planted in the wrong spot. This is another knockout. I think this is the yellow one. I really can't remember, but we're going to do probably about a third off of this one. This is a decent spot for it, but it's still a little too close to the house. But let's get her pruned up. We're going to take about, yeah, probably about a third off of this one. Give it a nice, just give it in a better shape. First, I'm going to come in here and get rid of all this lower growing stuff so we can get up under here and maintain the mulch. And so these limbs won't slap me in the face when I come through here with the lawnmower. A lot of these are kind of old and dead up in here. We'll get them cleared out so the breeze can make it through, and the rows will just be a lot healthier and happier. See all this stuff growing up in the middle here, y'all? This guy's coming up through the very center. I'm gonna go down to the bottom and go ahead, lop him off, pull him out, because I really want to try to encourage the sunlight to get down in through the canopy too. Just give us a, more airflow, as well as just a nicer shaped bush. Come in here, just kind of selectively open it up a little bit, help with that airflow, keep them bugs down, let that light down some of the lower limbs, let them get a little bit of photosynthesizing going on too. And these tall ones, I'm just gonna come up here, kind of lop them off. That'll encourage some branching and more flowers. Just like that. I'm going to step back for a minute and take a look. And I don't like this limb crossing over through the whole plant, so I'm going to go ahead, get rid of him as well. Get rid of this guy in the middle. And we're almost there, y'all. I just have to every once in a while just step back and look at the shape and try to imagine in my mind what I want the thing to look like. Ouch, that thing got me. Dadgummit. Wish I'd have brought those mud gloves home. I'm gonna get them tomorrow while we're down at the garden center for sure, because I know I'm bleeding inside my glove right now. These darn roses do not play. So I'm pretty good with that, guys. You can let me walk around and give you a little bit better picture. That would be a more typical rose bush pruning right there. Got the canopy nice and opened up. It's kind of evenly spaced all the way around. I like that. That's gonna be, that one should really appreciate that pruning right there. We'll come back in a few weeks, take a look, and I bet you she's gonna be loaded with buds. Let's go down here and take a look at Miss Peggy Martin. This is my favorite climbing rose. I wish it bloomed more than one time, and it will sporadically kind of spit out some blooms later in the summer, even into the fall. But its main prime time showtime is going to be just in a few weeks, and this whole thing will be covered with these small double pink roses. The whole thing, it's just like a postcard when she blooms. But I'm gonna go grab my ladder real quick, get it set up, and we're gonna have to give this thing a haircut. We're gonna do it pretty quick because the sun's starting to set on us and we're losing light. So let's get to work. Like that, guys. This is one of my absolute favorite plants. I know I've told the story before, but Peggy Martin is the one that was submerged under like 15 feet of seawater when Hurricane Katrina came through. It was one of the only plants that bounced back. So very, very tough plant, and I could have taken my gloves off because this one is pretty much thornless. On the back side of the leaf, it's a little prickly, but it's not thorns. You can see the stalk here is pretty much naked. But a really, really cool plant. I see one limb missed under there. In fact, let's go ahead and get it so I can concentrate, because that's really bugging me. There we go. Go ahead and get rid of this low hanging guy right here. But I pruned up all the ends went around the whole thing, and then we're going to add a little bit of fertilizer and the Bare 3-in-1 rose care product that I've shown in the past. It's a fantastic product. It's fertilizer, insecticide, and fungicide, because if you remember from the video from last year, we did have a little black spot pop up on this rose. That looks so much better, and I'm telling you, here in a few weeks I'll show this thing to you. It is incredible. This is what we want to use right here, guys. We sell a lot of this down at the garden center. I use it, a lot of the rose folks in the area use it, and it gives great results. So like I said, it's 3-in-1 fertilizer, insect, and disease control. Fantastic product. So I'm going to add about a cup of that to every single rose plant, other than the one I don't care about here in just a minute. But my battery's about to die, so I got to tell you guys goodbye. Appreciate you watching, as you always do. It means a lot to me. Drop me a comment in the comment box down there below. Tell me hey, at least, or tell me what you want to see. We got a lot of things happening because spring is here, and I couldn't be happier. But appreciate you guys as always. The more you know, the more you grow. I'll see you on the next video. Bye, y'all.